Talk.
Talk radio.
I listen to a lot of talk radio.
95.1 FM.
A life without purpose is a life without destination. Find the right direction for your life as you join Pastor Chris Ugo for 5 minutes of purpose discourse every weekday on Living with Purpose and Power.
Hi, my name is Chris Ugo, and this is Living with Purpose and Power. I want to especially thank you for being a part of today's broadcast. Make sure you get in touch with me to let me know how much this has been a blessing to you. Today I'm looking at shame. God wants you to overcome shame. Shame is a feeling of guilt, a feeling of regret or sadness that you have because you know you have done something wrong. Many of us are suffering from shame. Shame is capping our potential. We feel shame for disappointing God. In Psalm 25, verse 1 to verse 3, the New Living Translation says, "O Lord, I give my life to you. I trust in you, my God. Do not let me be disgraced, or let my enemies rejoice in my defeat. No one who trusts in you will ever be disgraced. But disgrace comes to those who try to deceive others." In God, everything about your shame has been taken care of. Chapter 2, verse 25 in Genesis says, "And they were both naked, the man and his wife, and were not ashamed." When man was made and was clothed with glory and honor. What is man that you're mindful of him? The Son of Man that you visit him. You have made him a little lower than the angels, and you have crowned him with glory and honor. Man was clothed with glory and honor. But when Adam disobeyed God, shame came into the garden. Genesis 3, 9 to 11. He said, "Then God called to Adam and said to him, 'Where are you?' So he said, 'I heard your voice in the garden, and I was afraid because I was naked, and I hid myself.' He said, 'Who told you that you were naked? Have you eaten from the tree of which I commanded you that you should not eat?' You see, he was ashamed of nakedness. Shame came in because he disobeyed God. Shame was never part of God's design. God wants you to be unashamed. You must understand that Jesus came to die on the cross of Calvary to bring freedom from shame for you. In John 8, the woman caught in the very act of adultery, Jesus says, "Woman, where are those accusers of yours? Has no one condemned you?" She said, "No one, Lord." And Jesus said to her, "Neither do I condemn you. Go and sin no more." Jesus paid the price for your shame and my shame. The cross of Jesus reverses the shame. So if you're going to overcome shame, there are a few things you must pay attention to and do. Number one, choose to believe God's word, because God's word has the final say. Who are you going to trust? Who are you going to believe? Is it what people are saying or what God has said about you? Number two, reject the lies of Satan. Satan will lie that you are ugly. He will lie to you, say you are fat. He will say you are a liar. You will talk about your past. You have to reject the lies of Satan. God says you are a new creation. All things are passed away and all things have become new. Number three, you have to release your faith. If you're going to receive from the Lord, it's going to be by faith. You have to receive the love of God by faith. Next, you have to accept the real you in Christ. See yourself as Christ sees you. Next, you have to change the way you think. Don't be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Align your thoughts with the word of God. Finally, accept the approval of God. You see, many times we don't sleep because of what we think people are thinking of us. Who cares? You see, the accusations don't matter anymore. He's the one that has defined you. He defines your what? No more shame. He bore your shame. Today, I break the power of shame over your life. I break the power of shame over your family. I declare no more disgrace in the name of Jesus Christ. I pray that forgiveness comes. Thank you, Heavenly Father. In Jesus' wonderful name, I pray. Amen and amen.
You've been listening to Living with Purpose and Power. Connect with Pastor Chris Ugo on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at I am Chris Ugo, or email hello@chrisugo.org. Tune in tomorrow, same time on the station.
This is Today 95.1 FM, Port Harcourt, voice of the people. Whether it's happening in Port Harcourt, South, Nigeria, or around the world, we've got you covered. On air, online, delivering balanced news and unbiased analysis. Today 95.1 FM.
This is Today 95.1 FM, Port Harcourt. News.
A very good morning to you. This is the World News on your premium talk radio. Today 95.1 FM, Port Harcourt. Tuesday, October 15, 2024. The headlines. Presidency directs heads of MDAs of federal government to honor National Assembly invitations. CBN urges banks in Nigeria to invest in cybersecurity to safeguard customers' savings. Local security outfit in River State raise alarm over implications of fuel subsidy removal on security. On the foreign scene, French authorities to adopt new immigration law in 2025. Details in a moment. The presidency has directed all heads of ministries, departments, and agencies of the federal government to make it a duty to honor National Assembly invitations. This directive may not be unconnected to media reports bordering on threats by the Senate to issue arrest warrants against chief executive officers to agencies and ministers for consistent failure to appear before the Senate Committee on Ethics, Privileges and Public Petitions. The special advisor to the president on Senate matters, Senator Bashir Lado, who gave the directive in a statement, described the threat by the Senate against them as worrisome, noting that a smooth working relationship between the executive and legislature is sine qua non to the realization of the renewed hope agenda of President Bola Tinubu. Lado assured that his office will continue working towards a constructive collaboration between ministries, extra-ministerial departments and agencies and the National Assembly, particularly its Senate committees, as a cornerstone of good governance and accountability. The Federal Ministry of Education has announced that the new curriculum for basic education will commence across schools in January 2025. Minister of Education Professor Tahir Maman, who made this known at a stakeholders meeting on the implementation of the new curriculum in Abuja, said the curriculum for senior secondary education would also commence September 2025. He said the new curriculum would address problems of learning crisis and employability. According to him, the new skills acquisition to be introduced would have a multiplier effect by equipping students with 21st century skills. The minister said the next 3 months would be used for the preparatory stage, including preparing teachers' guides in using the curriculum. The Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, is urging banks in the country to make significant investments in cybersecurity to safeguard depositors' savings from hackers. The acting director of banking supervision, Adetona Adedeji, who made this call during a panel discussion on fiscal and monetary policy reforms at the ongoing Nigeria Economic Summit in Abuja, acknowledged the rapid innovations within the banking sector, particularly concerning electronic banking, emphasizing the need for banks to stay one step ahead of criminals to prevent customers from losing their deposits. Adedeji, who also reiterated the importance of establishing secure systems, went on to note that while the banks aim to reduce inflation, while the bank, that is the CBN, aims to reduce inflation, it remains mindful of the need to keep businesses operational. The Nigerian Air Force has announced its readiness to acquire another set of fighter jets and helicopters to boost its combat capabilities. The aircraft are 24 M346 fighter ground attack jets and 10 AW109 Trekker helicopters. The service had in June disclosed it would acquire 50 new aircrafts to strengthen its capabilities against armed gangs and terrorists. Already, the service in the last 2 years had taken delivery of 12 Super Tucano jets, 2 additional DA-62 surveillance aircraft, and T-129 attack helicopters, 2 Diamond 62 multi-purpose aircraft, among others. Director of Public Relations and Information, Nigerian Air Force, Air Commodore Olushola Akimboiwa, in a statement said the Chief of Air Staff, Air Marshal Hassan Abubakar, along with officials from the Ministry We continue with the news. The Presidential Amnesty Program, PAP, has sought the partnership of the National Counterterrorism Center, NCTC, to further the peace and security in the Niger Delta region. In a statement, Administrator of the Presidential Amnesty Program, Dennis Otuaro, who recently paid a courtesy visit to the office of the NCTC National Coordinator, Major General Adamu Laka, in Abuja, said the proposed partnership would help deepen the program's ongoing peace and security process in the region. According to the PAP boss, a collaboration with the NCTC, which falls under the Office of the National Security Advisor, would guarantee an increase in Nigeria's oil output and improve the economic well-being of the country in line with President Bola Tinubu's renewed hope agenda. You're listening to the World News on Today 95.1 FM, Voice of the People. After this break, more news, foreign and sports stories. Stay tuned.
Every day, every hour, when the big stories break, depend on our 24-hour news team to bring you the latest. Today, 95.1 FM.
We thank you for staying with us. The Chief Judge of Rivers State, Justice Simeon Chibuzo Amadi, has fixed Thursday, 17th October 2024 for the opening ceremony of the 2024-2025 legal year. To this end, Justice Simeon Chibuzo Amadi has outlined the jail delivery exercise, which is to hold on Tuesday, 15th October 2024, 10 a.m. at the Port Harcourt Maximum Security Custodial Center as part of activities to mark the opening of the legal year. In a statement, Chief Registrar, High Court of Rivers State, David Hinwa Madwe, informed members of the public of a special church service at St. Paul's Cathedral, Anglican Communion, Rebisi Garrison, Port Harcourt on Thursday, 17th October, 10 a.m. The statement also revealed that there will be inspection of guard of honor by the Chief Judge, mounted by the Nigeria Police at the High Court Complex on Thursday, and thereafter a special court session at the Ceremonial Court Hall, Block C, within the High Court Complex. Members of a local vigilante group in Rivers State have raised alarm over security implications of the removal of fuel subsidy and recent hike in the pump price of premium motor spirit, popularly known as petrol. Members of the Jobu Security Service, while describing the move as an act of cruelty, insensitivity that has done more harm than good to the nation, said citizens are hopelessly struggling to make ends meet. The commander of the local vigilante, Prince Amatari, who described the recent hike as a time bomb, if not properly handled, says it will expose security agencies to many security threats, expressing worry over the increase in crime as a result of the hardship experienced by citizens. Amatari further called on the National Assembly to, as a matter of urgency, summon the presidency and the NNPCL to immediately reverse the price of petrol to 187 naira per litre, and also called on well-meaning Nigerians to stand tall against what the group described as inhuman injustice meted out on the citizens.
Of fuel subsidies and the recent hike in price of premium motor spirit (PMS) is an act of cruelty, insensitivity that has done more harm than good to the nation, as citizens hopelessly struggle to make both ends meet. Dope Vigilante further warned on the security implications that the recent hike is a time bomb. Many security challenges, if not addressed, it will expose security agencies to many security threats on daily increase in numerous crimes as a result of hardship meted on the citizen. Dope Vigilante called on the National Assembly as a matter of urgency to summon the presidency and the NNPC to order for the immediate reversal of the PMS price to 187 naira per litre. Joe Vigilante also called on all well-meaning Nigerians to stand tall against this inhuman injustice meted on the citizens, that the earlier it is addressed, the better for all.
The pastors, members and friends of the King's Assembly have expressed joy over 20 years of God's mercy and grace on the church. The pastors, members and friends from all walks of life gathered to celebrate the King's Assembly's 20th anniversary in a week-long event culminated by a Thanksgiving service at the church auditorium on Tombia Extension, GRA, Port Harcourt. Today FM correspondent who was present at the event and reports that the lead pastors, Chris and Yemisi Ugo, led the celebration of mercy and grace, thanking God for all the church had experienced and our impacts within its 20 years of existence. The associate pastor, Charles Odoko, who spoke to newsmen, expressed thanks and gratitude to God for what the church has achieved in the city of Port Harcourt to his glory.
God raised our lead pastors, Pastor Chris and Pastor Yemisi, at a time where a church like this was needed in our city. These 20 years, it's been one impact after the other. men and women that have been raised from this assembly all over the nations of the world doing great and awesome things because God gave a man a vision. And I'm glad that I was a part of this. I've been a part of this assignment from the very first beginning. What you see us doing today is like a Thanksgiving service, saying thank you to God for all that He has done. 20 years of mercy and grace. It's really, really awesome. So I'm grateful.
Speaking on the future of the church, Pastor Charles Odoko expressed belief that God has just begun with the King's Assembly.
If God has done this for us in just 20 years, I'm sure that the future will be amazing, to be greater and bigger than this. What we have accomplished in 20 years is not by our strength, not by our power. That's why our theme is mercy and grace. There's always much more in God for His people. So as we hunger and thirst and draw from Him the more, we believe that will make more impact. The church community will be bigger, it will be larger, the communities will be blessed through the King's Assembly. So I see a greater vision. In another 20 years, it will be, this is just a child's play. This is just the beginning of what God wants to do.
On their part, some members of the church also spoke on how the King's Assembly transformed their lives.
The church evolves, so as a person you can't stay like the same. So I've learned to evolve and constantly grow. It's offered me a home.
Most of us, when we joined, we had no direction. Thank God for Pastor Chris, who God has used to be a huge blessing to so many of us. Now we have direction, now we have families. So I want to say congratulations to the King's Assembly.
We're grateful to God for everything that He has done for the past 20 years. We're expectant of what He will do for the next 20 years onwards.
It's been an exciting experience worshiping with King's Assembly for 20 years.
Grace and mercy is always with us.
My life has been tremendously transformed. So these days what I try to do is I try to catch up with what's happening with the King's Assembly to make sure that I'm not behind in my own life.
The 20th anniversary celebration of the King's Assembly featured outreaches to communities, worship and praise sessions with seasoned worship ministers, impactful teaching sessions throughout the week-long celebration. On the foreign scene, French authorities are set to adopt a new immigration law next year. According to its spokesperson, the move became necessary as the new right-wing government seeks to crack down on immigration. The government's plan to tighten immigration policies and border controls is emblematic of the rightward shift in French politics following the summer's legislative elections that resulted in a hung parliament. The Michel Barnier's government hopes the bill will be submitted to Parliament at the beginning of 2025. To end the news, here is a summary of the major stories. The presidency has directed all heads of MDAs of the federal government to honor National Assembly invitations. The CBN has urged commercial banks in the country to invest in cybersecurity to safeguard customer savings. We told you that a local security outfit in Rivers State has raised an alarm over the implications of fuel subsidy removal on security. On the foreign scene, you heard that French authorities are set to adopt a new immigration law in 2025. That was the news. It's edited by Stella Sasongu. For comments and inquiries, please call 0818-389-2850 or send your mails to news@todayfmlive.com. Read our stories on our website www.todayfmlive.com. I am Kelly Ikem Menchima. Good morning. Thank you for your time.
This is Today 95.1 FM, Port Harcourt, voice of the people.
Luxury Homes. We deal on variety types of doors and furniture like bulletproof doors, Israeli doors, copper doors, smart lock security doors, armored doors, acrylic hardwood doors, and so on. At Seymour Luxury Homes, we also sell aluminum railings, glass railings, Italian wrought iron gates, handrails, fence rails, burglaries, laser cut gates and railings, stainless steel gates and railings, all kinds of tiles and granites, sanitary wares, wardrobe and kitchen cabinets, wall and floor increte. We are also into finishing and furnishing. So for more information, visit us at number 7 Izimbu/Mommy B Link Road by Mopole 19, Port Harcourt, or call 0706-398-0924. You can also visit us at number 11 Ada George Road or call 0706-300-6452. Seymour Luxury Homes, affordable luxury place.
we can protect your car, your savings.
Let's not make it boring. Let's make insurance a lifestyle. If you've ever wished your insurance offered you more, then you're in good hands with Hares Insurance Group. In addition to our extensive insurance coverage, you can also enjoy free benefits such as networking opportunities, up to 10% discount on hotels, gyms, spas, and your favorite stores, tickets to exclusive events, and free resources to plan your future. So, next time someone asks you, what does your insurance company give you, sir? Your answer should be with Hares Insurance Group. Definitely much more than insurance.
To enjoy all these, sign up on www.hairsinsurancegroup.com. That is HEIRS. Hares Insurance Group. Simple life is here.
For property business.
Looking to build a beautiful future and secure a great retirement plan? Invest in property with propensity for up to 50% appreciation within 6 months with Odibola Properties. Starting with as low as 1.9 million, 3 million, 6.5 million or 10 million. Invest with Odibola Properties in Quiet Heaven Extension and Quiet Heaven Phase 2 in Igbo Victory Park, Alu. You can invest in Quiet Heaven Estate, Omagwa, and Urban Prime Layout behind Salvation Ministries headquarters in Iguruta. You can also invest in Crown Court 2 luxury apartments in GRA Port Harcourt to secure your future with Odibola Properties. For more information, visit our office at Odibola House, Nyenwilim Nisrim Layout, Tombia Extension, GRA Phase 3, Port Harcourt. Call us on
0706-282-4485 or 0908-252-7111.
Or visit www.odibolaproperties.com. With Odibola Properties, you can do business with us and go to sleep.
Odibola.
This is the biggest wedding in town. The couple are on the dance floor and it's raining cash. The groom whispers to his bride,
"We're definitely going to Seychelles for honeymoon. See money."
The couple go to change outfits and are back to the dance floor, only for the MC to say,
please, can anyone find the ladies helping the couple pack their money?
The crime stories live here. Find all and more on Netflix. Stream now for 2,200 Naira. If your car just got bashed like that, would you be this person?
See how you bashed my car, eh? Are you driving with your eyes closed? Did you leave your brakes at home? Who is going to pay for this damage? You have entered it today. By the time I finish with you, you will know who I am.
Or this person.
Are you okay? You're sure? Don't worry about the damage. I am AXA covered.
Being AXA covered is now easier. With AXA Comprehensive Motor Insurance, you can even insure your car today and pay monthly. Call 0700 AXA Mansard or visit axamansard.com to get started now.
Tune in for a journey beyond the ordinary.
Fasten your seatbelts.
We're not just a station.
We are the station.
Today, 95.1 FM, the voice of the people.
Time for us to take you through the stories from the newspapers. It's the newspaper review segment on Today's Quest Today, 95.1 FM.
For the Senate President and the Deputy Senate President at 7:30 p.m. today. The venue will be at the Chopstick, Mississippi Minnesota, Maitama. So this announcement is from distinguished Senator Danduse Mohammed. Apparently, it is not being funded by the government, neither is it being funded by the National Assembly, and it is his initiative. So I urge members that times are difficult, and wherever you see free food, please endeavor to avail yourself. Thank you, distinguished Senator Danduse.
Outside the world, we'll pick about Nigeria. It's the narrative at home. When our own people are running down our nation, what impact will it make on the global community? I stand to be corrected, but more people are killed every day on the streets of America than in Nigeria. But do they emphasize those losses? Go and get the statistics for the city of Chicago on a weekend, and then we can compare notes.
If you earn 1.5 million naira a month or less, your personal income tax bill will go down. Of course, at the lower end, completely exempted. But if you earn more than that amount, you see it going up incrementally, up to 25%. Today, if you earn 100 million naira a month, nobody hits 19% effective personal income tax rate. we're taking that up to 25% of the rich people. And that's because we need to balance the book. Why is that important? We also have the one around VAT. We look at food, we look at health, we look at education, we look at accommodation and transportation.
Because Africa goes as Nigeria goes. So given its size and significance and the success of Nigeria's reforms that are happening today, will give a big boost to countries across the continent. And because the whole world has a stake in Africa's future, the whole world needs to pay attention to what Nigeria is trying to do today. And actually the whole world is paying attention. So as I speak though, there is a lot of suffering in all sections in all parts of Nigerian society, but especially among the poor and the young. They want good schools, they want decent colleges, they want decent healthcare, good jobs, and safe conditions that allow them to use this potential, to make full use of this potential. But high inflation is hurting everyone today. It is hurting them the most. Right? So oil wealth that should be used for the welfare of all Nigerians has for too long been used to benefit just the elites. The elites are also being hurt by these reforms that started last year, but they have done very well in the past and they have built big buffers. The ordinary Nigerians are being hurt even more, and they were hurt much more by the policies of the past, and they don't have any buffers. So their welfare should be uppermost on our minds today. That the problems that are being tackled today in the Nigerian economy first surfaced more than 40 years ago, when oil prices began collapsing in the early 1980s after the big oil boom of the 1970s. Nigeria between the years 2003 and 2007. During those 4 years, Nigeria implemented fiscal and exchange rate reforms. It introduced unprecedented transparency into the recording and allocation of oil revenues. It renegotiated its Paris Club debt, which had created this debt overhang that was choking the economy. And the payoff was immense and immediate. For the first time in its history, Nigeria notched a BB- sovereign credit rating. It started to attract FDI. And everyone, not just in Nigeria, everyone started to talk of Africa rising. So today, Nigeria is once again at the crossroads. It has begun to implement a far-reaching, politically difficult reform with national, regional, and even global repercussions. Without solid progress in Nigeria, the sustainable development goals that we all talk about will remain out of reach. Nigeria, after all, is now the country with the largest number of people living in extreme poverty, not just in Africa, but across the world. So in the 1990s, by the way, India took this position of the #1 poor country from China. But a few years ago, Nigeria has taken that position as the #1 poor country in the world from India. But the difference, of course, is that India and China have more than 1.4 billion people each. Nigeria's population is just about 225 million. That's about the same population as just 2 of China's largest provinces, and just a bit more than India's largest state. A great nation like Nigeria should not let this continue. To start that process of thriving, the president's signature reforms are essential. They are essential to break from the past and to chart a more hopeful course for all Nigerians. These include the unification of what used to be multiple exchange rates. They include allowing that unified exchange rate to be determined by the market. And of course, they include the elimination of fuel subsidies. So let me briefly take each one of these up in turn to show you how much oil wealth was being squandered in the past, the very recent past. So last year, before the reforms, the official exchange rate was roughly 465 naira per dollar. The freely determined parallel rate at that time was closer to 700, meaning that for every dollar allocated at the official rate, the loss to the government was close to 250 naira, every dollar. So the total loss in foregone federation revenues from oil, customs and taxes on imports amounted to 6.2 trillion naira in 2022. This was more than 3% of GDP. You can do a lot with 3% of $300 billion. Now the cost of subsidizing PMS and keeping its price below market levels amounted to 4.5 trillion in the naira in 2022. That was another 2% of GDP. You can do a lot with 2% of GDP, 2% of $300 billion. Together, these two subsidies, the implicit one from the exchange rate and the explicit PMS subsidies, amounted to a staggering 10 trillion naira a year by 2022, or $15 billion at the free market exchange rate. You can do a lot with $15 billion. Now, by the way, these were just the direct fiscal costs. The wider costs may have been even greater. They included a huge implicit tax amounting to some 35% on non-oil exports, including manufacturing and agriculture. And ways and means advances became the primary way of financing the government to offset the cost of exchange rate and PMS subsidies. This meant inflation, of course. And as a result, debt service consumed all revenues by 2022, and the public debt was burgeoning. Nigeria was on the brink of a full-blown fiscal crisis and collapse in the confidence of the naira. People talk about the options that Nigeria had at that time, the options that the president had at that time. He did not have that many options. But implementing such a far-reaching reform is impossible without solid political commitment from the top. The price of PMS has quintupled since the subsidy cuts, imposing terrible hardship across the breadth of Nigerian society. The central bank has had to hike its policy rate by a huge 850 basis points, that's almost 9 percentage points, in the last 9 months to boost confidence in the naira and anchor inflationary expectations. But the central bank financing of fiscal deficits has finally ended. And Governor Cardoso has been putting Nigeria, or be helping to put Nigeria, on the right course, on the correct course. But this is only the beginning. Nigeria will need to stay the course for at least another 10 to 15 years to transform its economy. So I don't know if you're agreeing with me or if you're disagreeing with me. If it does that, it will transform its economy, and it will become an engine of growth in sub-Saharan Africa, and it will help to transform sub-Saharan Africa. It's very difficult to do these things, but the rewards are massive. But Nigeria's reforms from 2003 to 2007 were exactly what was needed, but they were not sustained. Today's fiscal, monetary, and exchange rate reforms are hurting everyone, especially ordinary Nigerians who are struggling with the high prices of food and transport. The government must do everything in its power to protect the most vulnerable citizens against hardships, because their lives and the lives of Nigeria's 110 million children depend on it. And it must stay the course, on reform, because Nigeria's long-term future, 110 million children, depends on it. During the coming year, Nigerian policymakers have to do three things. The first is to prioritize non-oil growth. This requires a competitive exchange rate, which Nigeria now has. The Naira's real exchange rate is at its most competitive in at least 20 years.
I like to start with that because how we handle African names and identity is a matter of transitional justice. You see, the Europeans want us to be able to pronounce Dostoevsky, and they want us to be able to pronounce Zemzevsky, but they cannot pronounce Odinka. And therefore, first thing for Africans, if you're an African, please care how you pronounce African names, because the white people started with us by wiping out our identities. If you don't believe me, and you don't need to believe me, go and read Southern Rhodesia, decided by the Privy Council in June 1918.
Okay. Proposal outline. This is for the first time I'm showing Nigeria this. This is the master agreement I have here. Right here. Look at this. Document. Right here. You'll be shocked to read that this document. After some time, I'll make it public. I'm not hiding from it. This is it here. I've clause by clause. I don't need a lawyer to read it from me. 33 years of active practice of law. So this is the agreement. This is the Ethiopian Air agreement here. And you'll be shocked if you look at this agreement. What it simply says is that a foreign government should come and take over our national carrier. That is the long and short of the story. Because Ethiopian Air was a single major shareholder in that deal. Ethiopian Air. Ethiopian Air is owned by another government in Africa. It's the same thing they've done to Togo. Togo is a small country. They've done it with Askai. Askai, when that Askai is saying it's owned by Ethiopian Air. We cannot be Togo. I apologize to whoever I'm talking for any Togo, but we cannot be Togo. We are big. We're ambitious. We cannot give up our entire ecosystem to another entity. Because what would have happened in that case is that the Ethiopian government would now be a complete beneficiary of all our Bassa routes. Because a national carrier has first, a priority choice over all our routes. All the Bassa routes we have negotiated all over the world. So they come and will give them all those routes we have suffered to negotiate. Where will all those profits go? Where? It's not Nigeria. So like I said, I've said this in another forum where I saw the facilitator of that day, one American man, he had been crying from one TV station to the other, one blog to the other, saying that we lost foreign direct investment. We did not lose any foreign direct investment. There was no investment. The investment they were going to bring their SS plates or their list. They were going to list planes on ACMIs on wet list, bring it here to fly our flag as national carriers. That's what they were going to do, and all the profit goes to Addis Ababa. And then who controls Nigerian Air? Who? CEO Ethiopian, financial officer Ethiopian. Director of operation of Ethiopia, all the key positions reserved for foreigners. Is that Nigerian Air? Is that a national carrier? I ask. It's not. But don't forget that apart from the government suspending it to look at it again, before the court came down and said the court has declared it illegal. So it's not we now, it's not government. It's judiciary. Go and argue with the judiciary. Go and argue with the judiciary that says it's illegal. So we saw the future. We knew where the case was going. Right? So that is it. And then guess what? I've said so many things about this. There are many. But like I said, I have the full documents here. All of the people coming from Addis Ababa to run it, they said they were not paying one tax to the Nigerian government. It's here, +6. Really? +6, that they will not pay one single tax to the Nigerian government. How about it? +6 years. All tax exemptions for all those coming, including payee. Not only the capital tax or this tax, payee tax. They should not have. Even if the law changes it, payee, they will not pay. Yeah. So what is the investment? Now what are you bringing? They are not going to build any infrastructure, full commitment to build a hub so we can even employ Nigerians. No commitment to that regard. And then guess what? After all this has happened, there's a clause that now says Nigeria will still guarantee any loss that they lost. Nigeria will not be the guarantor to any loss they suffer. But despite our bigger fight that we have, Nigeria reserved only 5% that day. But that 5%, they say we should be the guarantor to any loss. So if they incur any debt, they suffer any loss, they get into a contract and there's a breach of contract, there are billions of dollars are awarded against Nigeria Air. Who will pay? Nigeria, not Ethiopian Air. We are guarantors. No.
welcome everyone to the show. Welcome to today's quest on Today95.1 FM. We're now in the New Super Review segment this morning, the 15th of October 2024. Yours truly, Kelly Kemenjma is my name. We did put out an announcement on Sunday about a technical issue that our engineers are working round the clock to fix. We've been able to manage it, work around it, to bring you some of our broadcasts and our programs, but the challenge is still there. Today we're unable to resume at our earliest time of past 5. So you missed out on some of the religious programs sponsored. You also missed out on Sports Attack this morning. And the news started off, say some 5 minutes past 7 a.m. Please bear with us while we continue to make and put the effort in resolving some of these technical issues. Thank you for keeping faith with us. So that's how I say welcome everyone to the show, the Newspaper Review segment, Today's Quest on Today 95.1 FM. That's the segment we're on now. And we'll be running all the way till 11:30 a.m. Doing what we do. Panelists will join us. We trust that we can run all the way till 11:30 a.m. this morning, and even more programs you can expect. Entertainment Today would follow immediately after, and then the world news at noon would also be live on the radio. All right? So yeah, welcome again to the show. Time check in our studio, 7:41 a.m. So that leaves us 19 minutes before we get to 8 a.m. this morning. What did we share with you? Let's begin with that viral video of Akpabio talking about anywhere you see free food, go and eat, you recall? So I mentioned it yesterday, but I did not play it. So we have context now. The video is old, way back June 2023. So that was just few days after the inauguration, of the National Assembly, the 10th Assembly led by Godswill Akpabio. All right, so that's when he said what he said. He actually did say free food, but it wasn't an announcement for the public. It was an announcement for legislators, okay? An announcement for legislators sponsored by a legislator. All right, so that is context for you. I like context because a lot of disingenuous things happen on social media. So one has to be careful. It's easy for things to trend, especially when you're able to get things that just catch the sentiments of people, and they just one like, one retweet, and it's viral. That's how it works these days. Okay, so that is context for that viral piece. His media team released a statement. They said they are embarrassed by it. I'm like, guys, come on, stop being petty. Akpabio has said worse things than that one. He has said worse things than that one. Just because they took a part of what he said has made it an embarrassment. Anyway, so that is context for you. And then Vice President Kashim Shettima speaking at the Nigerian Economic Summit Group, Summit of 2024, I think, 2024. Yeah, it's not a group I follow so frequently. But then they had the summit, and the Vice President, he said other things which I will take you through from the praise, but talked about demarketing Nigeria, and we keep making that reference with the US. The US, our insecurity is not as bad because what is happening in the US is nothing compared to what is happening here. I'm like, anyway. So you listen to Kashim Shettima speak there. And after that, the taxman, call him taxman, he has a special committee, which for some reason I keep forgetting. Taiwo Oyedele is speaking about some of the tax bills. He talks about how the rich now would have to pay more in taxes, allowing some relief for the poor. One of the things he said there at the, one of the side conversations on the NESG summit that happened. And then still from the summit, the keynote speaker, the World Bank Vice President, speaking there, he said a summary. We've spent, in 2022, Nigerian government spent 10 trillion in subsidizing foreign exchange, 10 10 trillion for foreign exchange and subsidy for petrol. I'm like, And then he said Tinubu had no choice, actually. That Tinubu, in removing subsidy when he did, the way he did, and announcing the unification of the foreign exchange policy, he had no choice. He had no options. Really? Anyway. So you listen to the VP there, Executive Vice President of the World Bank, speak at the National Economic Summit Group, Summit. Chidi Onikalu making a case for African names, insists that your foreign friends and partners, they are able to pronounce your name, your African name. It's important, at least. Well, I think it's important. That's why I thought to share with you. And then lastly, Festus Keyamo giving us a bit more insight into the Ethiopia-Nigeria Air project. I know a lot of Nigerians were even against that thing because it was shrouded in secrecy, but Keyamo saying the things that he's saying now, I think it's one of the few things that Nigerians just agree with the Tinubu government, that indeed the fiasco with that project is just too much of an embarrassment, almost like a sellout. Okay, and that's what Festus Keyamo is revealing. He said the federal government, they were investigating it. That investigation is taking a bit too long. Shouldn't he hear? Everything he's saying is he's indicting. Come out with a blue paper now, or red paper, so that we'll see that an investigation has been done, all the parties have made their inputs, and this is the final outcome. So we'll know what exactly happened. In as much as Hadi Sirika is being probed right now by the EFCC for many other things, I'm not even aware that what happened with Nigeria Air is inclusive in the probe by the EFCC. But nonetheless, Festus Keyamo speaking on the Nigeria Air thing, it's quite something to hear that, people sat in offices and signed that kind of a deal, in this country. It's a bit mind-boggling. But nonetheless, we'll have to move on. Whether they probe it or not, best time will tell. Let's see what happens. For now, the Air Nigeria deal is a failed deal, literally putting it. Okay, it's failed, backed up, put in someone's drawer, maybe thrown away or forgotten. I don't know. All right, so let me take you through the prints. But before that, there are channels to reach out to us. We like to hear from you. We look forward to hearing from you. 0817-00000951. Again, 0817-00000951 or 0810-9510951. Again, 0810-9510951. So those are the numbers to call. Right, when the phone lines are open. You prefer to send a message via the WhatsApp channel or the traditional text message channel, 0701-9339-962. Again, 0701-9339-962. And then on Facebook, we have two posts, opinion poll and the general post. General post with links there to the stories you want to read more for yourself. All right. Facebook, Today951FM, Today951FM. Whereas on X, we have just post for opinion poll at TodayFM951, opinion poll at TodayFM951. Okay, so let's begin. Today is International Day of Rural Women. The theme for this year is Rural Women Sustaining Nature for Our Collective Future. Some of these international themes, we need to localize them. I feel that way. We need to localize them so that their themes would have, localized meanings. Yeah? So, achieving gender equality and empowering women is not only the right thing to do, but is a critical ingredient in the fight against extreme poverty, hunger, and climate change. Women are responsible for half of the world's food production, while working as environmental and biodiversity stewards. As farmers, women have learned how to cope with and adapt to climate change. For example, by practicing sustainable agriculture in harmony with nature, switching to drought-resistant seeds, employing low-impact or organic soil management techniques, or leading community-based reforestation and restoration efforts. The women in our communities, in our villages, there are some women in our communities and villages that have never stepped out of those communities. They're the heroes being celebrated today. One time on Greenland, we're looking at the contribution of the smallholder farmers. They're called smallholder farmers. And we saw that in that number, women constitute more from our communities, giving us food to eat on a daily. They contribute more. So today's International Day is to celebrate these women in these communities, making their own contribution to the livelihood that we get to enjoy every day. So we salute them. Daily Post is our first stop this morning. Blackout. TCN gives update on national grid collapse. It has collapsed again. Yes, collapsed yesterday again. The transmission company of Nigeria, TCN, says that Monday's national grid collapse was partial. How partial? Noting that it has begun system recovery to restore supply. Spokesperson of the TCN, Ndidimba, disclosed this to Daily Post in a chart yesterday. According to her, the national grid did not collapse entirely as Akwa Ibom generating station was islanded to enable its continued supply from the Eket, Ekim, Uyo, and Itu 132 kilovolt substation. They say it's a partial system disturbance. The entire system did not collapse as the Ibom generating station was islanded, that is, separated to stand alone to continue supplying some areas to avoid the entire system going down. Recovery is currently ongoing and has advanced significantly, she told Daily Post. It comes as Daily Post reports that Nigeria on Monday at about 6:48 p.m. was thrown into darkness. So this is the feedback from. I've not seen a statement that is now been restored. I haven't seen that statement, but for most parts, not darkness with there. Everywhere is. I'm just seeing a post now from PHED. Let me read it real quick. Kindly note that the outage currently experienced on Elelenwa, Port Harcourt Mains, Rumosi, Port Harcourt Town, Calabar Transmission Station is as a result of a loss of supply from the grid. Areas affected include River State, Cross River State, and Ahoda. We are currently working with the Transmission Company of Nigeria TCN maintenance crew to rectify the fault and restore supply as soon as work is complete. All inconveniences regretted. Management. So this is just this morning. This statement is just this morning, less than an hour ago. See what's happening? So it has not been restored now. It's clear it has not been restored. Oh dear. Let's go to the next story. So only one generating station is running. That's the Ibom. Yeah, Ibom generating station is the only one running. The rest across the country are out. In fact, let's go through some more. Super Eagles maltreatment. Tinubu urges CAF to sanction Libya. President Bola Tinubu says he expects the disciplinary board of the Confederation of African Football, CAF, to conduct a thorough investigation and recommend appropriate action against Libya. While welcoming the national team back home to Nigeria, Tinubu said the Libyan authorities willfully violated the CAF statutes and regulations. President Tinubu was reacting through a statement by his special advisor on information and strategy, Bayo Nanuga, on Monday, a few hours after the team arrived home from Libya through Kanu Airport. Onanuga says President Tinubu deeply was moved by the inhuman treatment endured by the Super Eagles of Nigeria at the Libyan airport as he warmly welcomes their safe return to Nigeria. He confirms that the harrowing experience of the national football team at the hands of their host and the Libyan authorities prompted the Nigerian Football Federation to withdraw the Super Eagles from the scheduled march on Tuesday. The president commends the proactive coordination between the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the Federal Ministry of Sports Development in addressing the unfortunate episode and ensuring the safe return of our players. President Tinubu applauds the players for keeping their spirit alive despite the excruciating ordeal in Libya. The Nigerian leader recognizes football's unifying power in bringing nations and people together and views its treatment of our citizens as unsportsmanly and inhumane, to a stark contrast to the spirit of the game he deeply appreciates. He fervently calls on all lovers of the round leather game and administrators to unite and work collaboratively to prevent and overcome such incidents in the future. The statement from Ananuga. Premium Times is our next stop this morning, and it opens with this one. Nigerian cities in darkness as electricity grid collapses yet again. And I just asked the question, are you affected by this collapse? You know, I know that there are parts where power is really poor. I know. But if you live in areas that power is average or good or better, and you've been out of supply for at least, let's say, 12 hours or so, in some areas it's been more than 12 hours. In some areas since Sunday. Okay, since Sunday. So I guess that's a local issue. But if you notice that your power is consistent, supply is consistent, and this outage has affected you, just let us know. All right, on Opinion Poll, let us know. Have you been affected by the outage? All right, do well to let us know this morning. We here were affected already. The office is affected by the outage. Yeah. Nigeria's power grid collapsed again on Monday night, throwing many cities into darkness. Data from the Nigerian System Operators Portal shows that the collapse started around 7 p.m., with the grid recording an unprecedented 0 megawatts. Zero. According to the data, all 22 generation companies, Gencos, are down as of the time of this report. Despite the widespread impact of the blackout, the transmission company of Nigeria, TCN, was yet to issue a statement. So that statement has now been issued, which is the first story I read to you this morning. So there you have it. Let's move on from this story. Still from Premium Times, PDP crisis. The Magums Group threatens to arrest factional acting chairperson and others. The People's Democratic Party, PDP, is threatening to arrest anyone claiming to be its acting national chairperson other than Umar Damagum. The party's Deputy National Secretary, Ibrahim Magu, issued the threat at a press conference in Abuja yesterday. During the conference, Magu, whom the Magu faction appointed to act as the party's spokesperson, says the group would deploy security personnel to arrest any party members violating the court order. It says, in the face of the reckless violation of a subsisting court order, we are hereby left with no option but to deploy the services of security agencies in the enforcement of the rule of law. He commended the intervention of the party's board of trustees, the governors forum, and other party leaders in the crisis rocking the party. To this end, I want to very respectfully commend the intervention of the chairman of the BOT, chairman of the PDP Governors Forum, and other well-meaning leaders of the party on the need to seek an amicable solution soonest. Okay. Why our policy decisions are painful, unpopular? Part of that statement from Kashim Shettima, Vice President of Nigeria, at the Nigeria Economic Summit Group Summit. See, like this. You just get it that I don't know any other way to describe it. So bear with me. Yeah. So let me take you through some of the other things that the Vice President said. President Bola Tinubu on Monday explained why some of his administration's policy decisions are painful and unpopular among Nigerians. The president calls for increased cooperation among government agencies, the private sector, and international partners to boost economic growth, enhance competitiveness, and maintain stability in the country. Mr. President made the call while speaking at the 30th edition of the Nigerian Economic Summit on Monday. Speaking at the event, the president, represented by the Vice President Kashim Shettima, outlined his administration's renewed hope agenda designed to create an environment that fosters sustainable economic growth and shared prosperity. He, however, defended the economic policies of his administration while highlighting steps taken to improve the economy. Some of the policy decisions, the policy options available are painful, but they are almost inevitable. My heart and the heart of the president go to Nigerian people. We empathize with what the poor and the young are going through in the Nigerian nation, but we have no option. Some of these decisions are unpopular, but the truth is most often the truth that men prepare not to hear. Like many other nations, Nigeria has experienced significant economic problems over the past few years. The challenges have been global as well as domestic. ranging from COVID-19 pandemic and the fluctuation of oil prices to internal security issues, inflation, structural weaknesses in our economy. Nigeria's growth trajectory has been volatile, heavily dependent on oil revenue and unable to create enough jobs. Mr. President called for diversification of the economy to address key economic challenges, detailing ongoing efforts to improve infrastructure, streamline regulations, and enhance the ease of doing business in Nigeria. We're currently completing key infrastructure projects such as roads, railways, power plants that will enhance connectivity and productivity. And I'm thinking where people are complaining that the roads are very bad. We're talking about national roads here, that they are bad. Traveling is more difficult now. Vice President could not even mention specifics. He's giving us the usual story. We are completing key infrastructure. Oh, okay, I forgot. The coastal road. That's Lagos to Calabar coastal road. I think that's the one they are completing. Oh, the first phase is not even done. Oh, I also heard, I think David Umai was around recently to inspect the Eleme section of the East-West Road. I heard the date is now 2025. Oh, okay. We are currently completing key infrastructure projects such as roads, railways, and power plants. Which one? That will enhance connectivity and productivity. We are harmonizing regulatory processes to reduce the bureaucratic hurdles that have long stifled entrepreneurship and innovation. Mr. President also highlighted key economic measures, including the removal of fuel subsidy and the unification of foreign exchange rates as part of a broader strategy to stabilize the macroeconomic environment. These are all part of a broader effort to restore balance to the economy and ensure long-term stability. Our competitiveness is not just about improving our standing on global indices. It is about ensuring that the Nigerian economy is inclusive, where small and medium-sized enterprises can thrive alongside large corporations, and where every citizen, regardless of location or background, can benefit from economic opportunities. With the right policies, the right partnerships, and the right level of commitment, Nigeria can emerge stronger, more competitive, and more resilient than ever before. So, the parts that you missed, I just read it out. Tribune opens next. Senate President's Office debunks viral video. I already talked about that video in part, but let's listen to what they have to say. The Office of the Senate President has denied a viral online video depicting Senate President Godswill Akpabio talking about free food and hard times as a malicious news item from a doctored video, which was from a joke between the Senate President and his colleagues and not aimed at the public. At least so far, that what I've said now. In his reaction, the special assistant on media to the president of the Senate, Jackson Odom, said the video, which has generated serious embarrassment to the Senate president and his constituents, went on to add that the doctored video has been circulating on social media and generating widespread negative reactions. He went on to add that an online newspaper, but I didn't see it on any Tribune. I saw it on plenty blogs and even anyway. Udom stated that the attention of the office of the President of the Senate has been drawn to a malicious news item published by the online platform of a highly revered and respected Nigerian Tribune newspapers, to wit, whenever you see free food, endeavor to avail yourself. Times are difficult. He went on to add that the quote attributed to the Senate President Godswill Akpabio was a video clip of the Nigeria Senate President discussing with his fellow distinguished colleagues on the second day after Akpabio's inauguration as the President of the 10th Senate. The doctored video clip, as published by the Tribune Online, has been circulating on social media, generating widespread negative reactions. I didn't even see it from Tribune. However, a closer look at a longer version of the video, which the Tribune Online deliberately refused to publish, reveals that it was completely taken out of context. Yet they are the ones that have published this one now. The President of the Senate comments was not aimed at the general public, as the doctored video circulated by Tribune Online makes it look. From our findings, that version of the video was doctored and manipulated to mislead viewers, taking the Senate President's words out of their original context. Udom further stated that the said video had in the last 24 hours caused the President of the Senate and his constituents serious embarrassment. Wow. Demanding that his rejoinder be published and given same prominence that the doctored video was given. Well, okay, they've done it now, so let there be peace. We've even read it. We would have ignored it, but we read it, so let there be peace. Nigeria spent 10 trillion subsidizing petrol exchange rates by 2022. World Bank. You listen to the Vice President of the World Bank, Indemit Gill, Senior Vice President, World Bank Group, speak on this issue and some of the other issues this morning. So it's actually the Nigeria Economic Summit. Okay, then the group organizing the thing is the Nigeria Economic Summit Group. The summit is the Nigeria Economic Summit. Oh, okay. How wasn't so difficult after all? You know, it's this power issue. Sometimes it gets into your head. Sorry. Pardon me. Okay? So you heard the Executive Vice President of the World Bank speak on this issue. So let's move on to the next story. Daily Trust opens with the next one. Tax. We're working for rich to pay more while the poor pay less. Oidele, you listen to parts of it, but I need to take you through a bit more. Chairman of the Presidential Committee on Fiscal Policy and Tax Reforms, Taiwo Oidele, says the committee is coming up with reforms to ensure that Nigerians who are supposed to pay tax, fulfill that obligation as the tax gap stands at 75%. He also stated that the government is working to ensure that personal income tax reduces for Nigerians earning below 1.5 million naira monthly after the Economic Stabilization Bill is passed, stating, however, that the rich people earning 1.5 million above will see their personal income tax rise by up to 25%. Oidele made the disclosure while commenting as a panelist at the ongoing 30th Nigeria Economic Summit with the theme Fiscal and Monetary Policy Reforms, Removing Barriers to Private Sector Investment. According to him, a survey conducted by the group shows that only 17% of Nigerians pay taxes, as well as 30% of businesses, and one of the reasons is because they don't trust government. Therefore, what we want to do is to have a national portal, just like South Africa, where tax payment is seamless and transparent, because our current tax gap is about 70 to 75%. But if we correct that and everyone pays, our revenue will be 4 times more. Another issue about is policy gaps, where we grant unnecessary waivers to some persons who don't even deserve it. But the main issue remains compliance issue. On the incentives for businesses, Oidele stated that currently, before the National Assembly is a policy document targeted at reducing tax burden on businesses, and once our reforms are implemented, corporate income tax will reduce from 30 to 25%, and we're hopeful it comes on board January 2025. On the monetary side, on what the monetary side is doing, the acting director of banking supervision at the Central Bank of Nigeria, Dr. Adeton Adedeji, went on to note that one of the innovations introduced by the bank is to ensure a robust risk management system. We want a situation where every bank will put in place a cybersecurity management mechanism to boost investor confidence and trust. While on the other side, we're accelerating our inflation targeting to ensure price. We have been doing a lot, and what we are doing now is inflation targeting to ensure we get price stability, because without price stability we won't achieve it. We won't leave any step to reign. Okay. 15-year-old sues Education Ministry, JAMB, NUC over admission policy. Master Chinemerem Opara has sued the Federal Ministry of Education, the Joint Admissions and Matriculations Board, JAMB, and the National Universities Commission, NUC, over the government's policy which seeks to limit admissions into Nigerian universities to applicants who attain the age of 18. Opara, a 15-year-old senior secondary school student, filed the suit through his guardian, Mr. Maxwell Opara, his father, and a lawyer at the Federal High Court in Abuja yesterday. The News Agency of Nigeria reports that in the originating motion marked FHC/ABJ CS 1512-2024, dated September 30, filed October 14 by Wayne Elijah, The SS2 student listed the ministry, JAMB, NUC as first to third respondents respectively. In his 6 reliefs, the applicant sought a declaration that the respondent's minimum age for admission policy to restrict the age of Nigerian citizens for admission into universities in the country is discriminatory and unconstitutional. He says it amounts to a gross violation of his rights to freedom of expression as guaranteed under Section 42 of the 1999 Constitution as amended, Article 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 13, sub 2, 17, 28 of the African Charter on Human and People's Rights Ratification and Enforcement, Act Cap A9, Volume 1, LFN. He urged the courts to declare that his rights to peaceful assembly and association cannot be limited by the respondent's admission policy. He also sought a declaration that the policy which restricts his age before exercising his right of association and self-determination as to when to enroll to write the West African Examination Council, WAEC, and all JAMB exams infringe on his right of equal access to public service. This, he said, is guaranteed under Article 13, sub 2 and 3 of the African Charter on Human and People's Rights, Ratification and Enforcement, Act Cap A9, Volume 1. Opera, therefore, is seeking an order of perpetual injunction restraining the respondents from attempting to disturb, breach, or interfere with his rights. So those are the stories for today. We'll go on a short break. When we come back, we'll continue our conversation. Stay with us.
What's a successful business without sales? And what is sales without an audience? Well, do you know that you can reach 8 million listeners across 6 states in 2 geopolitical zones all at once? How? With Today 95.1 FM, you can get millions of people to know about your business. And what does that mean to you? More sales. Call 081-389-2850 now for more information.
Every day on Today 95.1 FM, there's always an opportunity to comment and air your views on our various programs. It's not just about us, it's about you, your opinion, and your voice.
President, don't you think that it's time to step down, sir?
Be part of the story, the gist, reactions, intrigues, and the news.
President Neil Patrick Harris has called for greater regulation.
Give us a feedback or join the conversation on Twitter at TodayFM951. Our Facebook address is Today95.1 FM, or join us on the number 0701-933-9962. That's our WhatsApp application. Be informed, be educated, and have fun. We are Today 95.1 FM, voice of the people.
Education never ends, and we believe it starts even way earlier than most of us think. On Andre Gorgie, every Tuesday, 1 to 2 p.m., we unravel these various building blocks and its challenges that make you and I better versions of ourselves. Andre Gorgie on Today 95.1 FM. Live your truth. Express your love. Share your enthusiasm. Take actions towards your dreams. Talk your talk. And walk your walk.
Because years ago, there's a statute of limitation on this stuff.
Make today worth remembering as we discuss issues as it affects Nigeria moving forward. Talk that talk.
Weekdays, 2 p.m.
Exclusively on Today 95.1 FM Port Harcourt.
Voice of the people.
Reggae. It's been a long time. We don't have no vibes like this. Reggae music again.
Reggae me like this. 95.1 Today FM. We are in Port Harcourt.
We are coming on the dance.
one them place in a station. Three them and them call Stellens, one them place with them and them call Bacalo. We are going on one till Chandan Babylon like Wall of Jericho Chandama. Yes,
95.1 Today FM.
Giving peace to the nation through reggae music, yes,
every Friday, 9 p.m. to 10 p.m.
Reggae, we gonna play with them people.